अत्र उपस्थितेभ्यः मम गुरुभ्यः प्रणामं समर्प्य अद्य धातुकला इति विषये वक्तुम् अत्र आगता अस्मि. A man of culture has been respected and honored in Indian society from time immemorial. Music, dance, drama and painting naturally enjoyed the place of honor. But other arts like culinary art, sleight of hand, spinning, magic and others too enjoyed a position of respect. The proliferation of these arts were so elaborate that according to traditional counting, they numbered as many as 64. The Samrajya Lakshmi Pitika, while enumerating these 64 arts, declares that a king is called a ruler only when endowed with these arts. Yabhir virajate raja, rajeva varavarnini, taha kalaha katayishyami savadhana manashrunu. And these arts are given a divine status. That is why in the Lalita Sahasranama, next slide, the goddess is said to be Chatushashti Kalamayi, Kalarupa, Kalatmika. And Bhaskaracharya's commentary mentions 64 arts based on Sharmadhara's Katha Kosha and Sridhara's Samrajya Lakshmi Pitika. And he mentions, next slide, Ratna Pariksha, Chauryam, Dhatu Pariksha as one of these 64 arts, and this Dhatu Pariksha is what I have chosen here. So these arts, about these arts, if we want information, these lie scattered throughout the literature. Such information lying scattered in different texts are collected and an attempt is made here. The Kama Shastra of Vatsyayana enumerates 64 arts, of which Dhatuvada is one. This is not Vyakarana Dhatu, this is about metals. The Jayamangala commentary explaining the term Dhatuvada says that this includes the knowledge of mining and extraction of mineral ores and gems, their purification and alloying. Dhatuvada iti kshetravadaha. Such a mrit prastara ratna dhatunam patana shodhana melanadi jnana hetuhu iti artaha. In keeping with the Kama Shastra text, the title of this paper has been chosen as Dhatuvada or Dhatukala, which includes the science of mining, metallurgy and the art of alloying. The Shukraniti Sara mentions each one of these as a separate art numbering to 64. So it says, testing of gold and other metal is an art. Swarnadhinam tu yatarthya vijnanam cha kalasmrita. The preparation of artificial gold and gems is an art. The making of ornaments with gold is and other metals is an art as well as enameling of the golds and the metals. Melting and providing of stones and metals constitute an art. The knowledge of mixture of metals and medicinal plants constitute an art. This was well developed. From Charaka's time, we can see how metals were used in medicines. And we can see how we can trace the history from Charaka's time to 14th century, how these metals have been used in medicinal science. And the preparation of new substances out of metals by combinations is also said to be an art. So, Samyoga Purvaka Vijnanam Dhatvadinam Kalasmrita. So, in modern terms, the Dhatuvada or the Dhatu Shastra is mineralogy or metallurgy, which discusses the chemistry of dhatus, the minerals, their properties, compounds, reactions, combinations, the products, namely the alloys and their uses. A related topic, mining of metals, involves the chemistry of extraction from ores, smelting and forging activities. The metals or minerals are called dhatus simply because they prevent senility and thinness, cure diseases and sustain the system, and derived from the root dha dharane, to sustain. So Rasajalanidhi gives a beautiful definition for this. Bali palita kalitya Karsyabalya Jvaramayana Nivarya Dadate Deham Nrunam Tad Dhatavo Mataha. The Harshacharita of Banabhatta mentions Dhatuvada or Vihangama, an alchemist, and he also mentions about a deep miner. The text mentions Dhatuvada as one of the 64 kalas. So Dhatuvada is explained as the art which aims to produce worthy minerals out of the worthless ones through the science of alchemy. So these are also discussed in the Rasajalanidhi, Rasaratnakara and other texts. The Dhatuvada was an important art which has been developed from the Vedic times for various purposes like currency, jewelry, artifacts, articles, weaponry, medicines, etc. The evidences for all these are available richly in archaeological excavations and literature. So I have taken first the archaeological evidences, the findings. The iron pillar in Delhi is one example which is rust-free. Next slide. There are so many. By C4 carbon studies, they have identified early mining sites, and I've mentioned them here. Apart from these, so these are enough to show that mining was well known to ancient Indians. Literary references, I come to literary references next. All these are the mines, please, fast. The knowledge of metals and their utility is mentioned in Sanskrit literature right from the Vedic times. Though references to the coins, ornaments, instruments and other forms of metals are found in Vedas, in a comprehensive and integrated information about metals, ores and their extraction, alloying and other details are to be found in Arthashastra of Kautilya and grammatical texts. Panini's Ashtadhyaya, Patanjali's Mahabhashya also have references. Other texts carrying much information about the metals is the Sushruta Samhita, Charaka Samhita, Rasaratnakara, Brihat Samhita of Varahamihira, belonging to 6th century, Ashtanga Hridaya, Rasa Shastra, Rasarnava Kalpa, Rasendra Chudamani, and Rasajalanidhi. So 7 metals, next slide, were identified to be pure: gold, silver, copper, iron, zinc, tin and lead, and 3 alloyed metals, namely brass, bell metal and vartaka, clearly mentioned in Rasajalanidhi, probably a later text. So all these metals are found mentioned from the Vedic times. Next slide, please. So we find gold was very much used. Various names of gold mentioned in Vedas are Chandra, Jatarupa, Suvarna, Hiranya, Ashtapada, and they were used in various jewelry as coins. Next slide, please. And it's very interesting. We find that in Rig Veda, accessories of vehicles were also made of gold during the Vedic period. The Ashwina Kumaras travelled in a car with golden seats, bridle, axle, wheels and ornamentations. So such uses of gold is found, the references for these are found in the Vedic times. Next slide, please. We have mention of all the metals of copper, lead, tin, iron, bronze, kamsya is bell metal. All these are mentioned again in the Vedas. I'll just move on to next one. Yes. So, next slide, please. Yes. So, iron and steel are also found mentioned. They have used for various weapons like Vashi, Rishti, Ishu, Nishanga and others. Next slide, please. Yes, many tools are mentioned again. Abri, Shrini, Pala, Asi. And these show how richly they have made use of all the metals available to them. Next slide, please. Now, this clearly shows that they had the knowledge of mining, and even about melting and alloying of metals is mentioned in the Rig Veda. The extraction of gold from earth by mining, it says, Shubhe Rukmam cha Darshatam Nikhatam. And metal extraction in Vedas we find, the Rig Veda mentions that the artisan working with metals was called Karmaraha. The setup used by metalsmith has been described as a furnace, blower and fire. The fire is described as the cradle of gems that melts gold, and the blower, dhatmari, or the metalsmith blows to produce sharp flame in the furnace. The Shatapatha Brahmana introduces the word bhastra, meaning a leather bellow used to blow air into furnace. Agni clearly has a vital role in the extraction and working of metals is also mentioned. And the alloying process is also mentioned in the Chandogya Upanishad. It says, Tadyatha lavanena suvarnam sandadhyat suvarnena rajatam rajatena trapu trapuna sisam sisena loham. So it goes on. So alloying of metals was also very well known to them. Now coming to next one, the Arthashastra. So thus, Vedic texts have references not only and gives much details about identification of mines and other things, but by the time of 1st century BC and 1st century AD, we find that this industry had completely developed from the laws given by Arthashastrakara. We know that this industry had developed very well. Kautilya gives much importance to mining as it was a source of considerable income for the treasury. He says that the treasury depends on mines, the army protection is sustained by the treasury, and the earth is conquered by both treasury and the army. And punishments were set for illegal activities. Arthashastra says, fines implemented by the officials on goldsmith who illegally purchased gold, deceit in manufacture of gold articles and so on are mentioned. And for those who secure an artificial enhancement of color or practice of removal of mixture with base metals is also mentioned. Suvarnakaranam ashuchi hastat rupyam suvarnam akhyaya sarupam krinatam dvadasha pano dandaha virupam chaturvimshati panaha. So it goes on, it lists as to what kind of punishment is levied for frauds. The commentary on the same explains Varnotkarsha as the artificial glitter given to gold and silver ornaments, probably the gold polish of the current times. We have 1 gram gold and others. So this gold dipping was also done on other metals called apacharana, which was a serious offense, and punishment is also described. So from all these, we come to know that this industry had developed to a great extent. The Arthashastra has an exclusive chapter dealing with watch or security over the artisans. It's called the Karuka Rakshana. The study of this chapter reveals that there were artisans who were employed in workshops or companies and who were individual artisans also. So those who worked for somebody was called Arthya Pratikaraha, Karu Shasitaraha, and Swavitta Karavaha were individual workers. So now description of mines and superintendents are given in the Arthashastra. According to Kautilya, starting of new mines and the renewal of old ones or discarded ones being an important function of the state, this responsibility was vested with the director of mining called the Akaradhyaksha, who should be an expert in Shulpa Shastra, geology, Dhatu Shastra, metallurgy. He has to make a survey of all the regions where mineral deposits are likely to be found and start new ones and renovate the old ones. Again, it mentions that the director of mines should be well versed in science of metals of veins, and he gives Akaradhyakshaha, Shulpa Dhatu Shastra, Rasapaka, Maniraga, all these he should be well versed in. And how should a gold mine be identified? Arthashastra gives detailed information about this also. Those liquids that flow inside a hole, a cave, a tableland at the foot, a rock-cut cave, or a secret dugout in mountains whose regions are known to contain gold ore that are of the color of jambu or the mango or the palm fruit or of cross-section of ripe turmeric or the jaggery, we can see it here, or the orpiment, yellow mineral, or red arsenic, or honey, or vermilion, or white lotus, or of the feather of parrot, or of peacock, that have in their surroundings water and plants of the same color. These are gold-bearing mines, he says. Next is, he also gives the characteristics of gold. So various types of gold ores are also discussed. So he says there are various colors of these ores, which are mudga or masha color, kasara. They are sometimes white in color, like that of lumps of curds, which are in turmeric color, all these. And even in modern times, how do they identify mines? They use machines and instruments to find. This can be one of the indicator given by Arthashastrakara, will be of great help. He also gives various types of golds. He discusses 5 types of gold based on their origin. He says Jambunada, Shatakumbha, Hataka, Vainava and Shuktika. So these are 5 kinds of golds given in Arthashastra. Purification of gold, how gold is extracted from ores are also discussed. Gold becomes pure by melting it with lead. Turmeric color gold is a standard, says the Arthashastra. Shuddhasyaiko haridrasya suvarno varnakaha. Stone from Kalinga or Tapi, which is of the color of mudga beans, is the best touchstone. Kalinga Tapi Pashanaha va mudgavarno nikashaha. The streak of the gold on the touchstone that has the filaments is smooth, soft and lustrous, is said to be best variety of gold. Next slide, please. So, apart from this, he gives details about iron ores. How these iron ores are described is, silver. We go to silver. So from silver we'll go to iron. So here, those ores which have the color of conch shell, that of camphor, alum, butter or pigeon, turtle dove, vimalaka or the neck of a peacock, which are resplendent as opal, and granulated sugar, which looks like granulated sugar. These are some of the identifications of silver ore. So unlike gold, the brilliant white metal silver has been introduced relatively later, during a later period. And types of silver is also discussed in the Arthashastra. Tutthodgata, Gaunika, Kambuka and Chakravalika are 4 types of silvers. So here we can see in later text, Rasaratna Samuchaya, this is more elaborate compared to what is found in earlier texts, whether it is Arthashastra or the Vedas. We find that there is a gradual development in this science, and these things have been recorded in later texts. They discuss each variety of gold, silver, and each metal is classified and their varieties are discussed in detail. One paper on gold is written by Miss Lavanya in the JOR, which is very interesting, dealing with the varieties of all the gold varieties. And next slide, please. I'll come to this later. Rupya Shodhana. Yes, Rupya Shodhana. So now, next one. So Tamra, also there are varieties which says Mlecham Nepalakam Cheti Tayor Nepalakam Varam. Nepalat Anya Khanyuktham Mlecham Ityabhidiyate. So the Nepala variety of Tamra was considered to be the best variety. Next slide. Next slide. And Sarvaloha Shuddhi. So again, Rasaratna Samuchaya gives a general rule for extracting all kinds of metals. So I will just conclude saying alloying also was very well known before that. Yes, I should not leave out iron because iron is our specialization. So extraction of iron and iron ore is also detailed in the Arthashastra. Arthashastra describes the qualities of iron ore thus: Karambuhu Pandurohitaha Sindhuvara Pushpavarnova Tikshna Dhatuhu. Those ores which are orange in color or pale red or of the color of the flower of Sindhuvara are the ores of iron. And the extraction of these are also detailed. I will skip through all these. And very interestingly, from the times of Sushruta, we can see the, iron and even steel was well developed for the instruments. Surgical instruments were prepared using steel. And there is one book released in Kuppuswami Shastri Research Institute recently on the surgical instruments. We can see how many varieties have been discussed in the Charaka and Sushruta Samhita. So this art was very well known to the ancients. The iron pillar of Delhi is also an example for this. So while all these are discussed in detail, iron, especially making of steel, was kept a secret because during that time we had invasions and this secret was not given away for that reason. And metals and alloys were also very well known, as I have already shown. One field which is explored in detail is the alchemy. Converting the base metals to gold was one art which they have been trying, and this is discussed in detail in the Rasa Ratnakara, Rasa Deepika, Rasa Ratna Samuchaya and other texts. So this has been developed, and they say Kritrimam Raupyam Rasendra Vadhejajam Raupyam Kritrimam Kathyate Budhaihi. So this Rasa Jalanidhi says how each metal can be converted. So this science is still applied. Next slide. Day before's paper had an article that Bharatiya University's 2 professors have found that by adding silver nitrate they are able to get silver from a kilang which is found in Tamil Nadu, and the patent rights has also been taken by them. So why I am giving you all this is, this science is very much used, especially mineralogy. They have used in medicine and which is applied even today. So reading and exploring these texts in detail will help us explore more. I thank everybody here, Bal Subramaniam sir, Kameshwari ma'am and Vasu sir for giving me this opportunity to read through metallurgy and other texts. I had an opportunity for this. Thank you very much, sir. Mercury is very, very important in Rasa Ratna Samuchaya. Without mercury, they are not able to do any of these alchemy. So they use mercury as the base to convert the metals to other metals. Thank you for reminding me.
A nice paper and a lot of information which we have to digest in a very short time, difficult. There is a special text called Ananda Kanda on alchemy, which deals with the mercury and its various capacities and the various ways in which it works with other metals and other things. But it is a text which reads like a tantric text, and we are not able to decipher it. We have the book published, up there in the library it is there, but you cannot understand anything except for the introduction. The introduction is in English, so we are able to understand. Nothing could be understood from the text as such because it is couched in such a language It is encoded text. So it is very difficult to break it. Unless we are really proficient in the art of dealing with mercury, we will not be able to break the text. It is very difficult. We wanted to do one time translate the text. No, it is hitting against the wall. So we didn't want to break the head. So we came away. Today we had a very nice session of all the 5 papers. We really enjoyed. I think every one of us enjoyed without feeling the hunger or sleepiness. We all enjoyed it very much, starting from Professor. He gave a very good beginning, and then it had ended with Yamuna Devi's lecture. Every paper was worth doing, worth reading, and worth following. And these people, I should not talk about Professor. He has already got a book ready on that subject. The others will have to develop the subject and then make it into a book form, so that the public will understand what sort of wealth is there in our text. We ourselves do not know. Now only we are going into all these fields, and we have started doing it. We should make it into an argumentable or complete documented text, so that people accept it. It is not merely airing our views and then simply talking about tall claims. No, we have documented evidences. We will have to give that to the public, so the public understands and realizes that our ancients had not been fools. They have been geniuses, and we who are deriding them are almost fools. So we have to go back and understand all these things, and I request all the youngsters to put their efforts in these different fields, so that the wisdom lying in these texts will come out to the public. Thank you all for having a patient hearing.